Yo, what is poppin', ladies and gents? I'm back here again with another player interview, and this time I got me PDC. He can introduce himself.
Yeah, I was cutting out for a second.
Yeah, you're fine now.
The video starts.
Oh, that's fine. You're here now. So I guess we could just start it off right now. So I just want to say, like, what does PDC stand for? I know what it stands for, but I don't think they know what it stands for.
It stands for Palkia Dialga Clash. I came up with it when I think I was 9 years old. I watched the 10th Pokemon movie, like, right before I made my account. And the 10th Pokemon movie, for those of you who don't know, it's The Rise of Darkrai. And literally the movie plot is Palkia and Dialga clashing. They're fighting or some shit. So that's kind of where I got my name from. It was, just kind of like spur of the moment. I didn't really have any good ideas, and I was really young when I made it.
Yeah, I remember. I saw that clip on YouTube the other day, and I was like, "Yo, this shit look fire!" And then I ended up opening the movie just to watch that one portion. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to watch that one portion, and it looked really cool. Like when the Palkia, his thing on his arm, it cracked. It was like, god damn. But besides all that, besides me reminiscing, so I just wanted to ask, so like, how old were you when you started playing Pokemon? Like, what was your favorite generation, like playing wise?
Like competitive or like in game?
Like in game, like cartridge, stuff like that.
In game, it's gotta be Gen 4. Like the first Pokemon game I got was, I think, Diamond and Pearl. But Emerald is like one of my favorite games. Although I haven't played a Pokemon game in a while, but I think that Gen 4, especially Platinum, it just has so much. Like it has the Frontier. It has like it was just such a fun game. And I think the plot was really cool too. Like I love the look of
That's fact. That's fact. What would be your close second? What would be your close second?
After that, it'd probably be Emerald. I mean, Emerald is just so good. It has the Frontier. The music is again amazing. It's just like really, really peak GBA type Pokemon game.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Honestly, sometimes I really be getting like caught up with myself, thinking which is better, Gen 4 or Gen 5 when it comes to story. But like, I think it's really close. I think it's close.
I never really played Gen 5, so I can't really say, so I'm just going to say Gen 4. Like, I stopped playing Pokemon after Heart Gold Soul Silver. That was the last Pokemon game I got.
I could definitely understand that. The whole reboot thing, it was a different story for a different day. But like, how old were you when you started?
I think I started like getting into Pokemon when I was like 7 or 8, maybe?
Okay, nice.
I started playing competitively when I was like 10. I think.
10. Yo, so you started young. So like, what you were like playing on like what, Shoddy Battle and stuff then?
Yeah, Shoddy Battle was the big thing, and it was I don't know, like I might have been actually 9 when I started playing competitive battling seriously. I think I was 9 because I made my PokeBeach account in 2009 and I turned 10 that summer. Yeah, Shoddy Battle was what I used to play on. It was a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for that simulator. Although it's like really ancient now. Like if you compare Shoddy Battle to like Pokemon Showdown, it's just not even. It doesn't even look similar remotely. But yeah, Shoddy Battle was where I started.
Okay. So like, when did you get on Smogon?
I got on Smogon. I think I signed up in 2010, in March 2010, I think. So about a year after I made my first form account on PokeBeach, and I've been on Smogon ever since. So it's been over a decade now since I've been here.
Damn, you've been here for a long time then.
Yeah, man.
So like, so you were like around pretty much during the entire clans era of like Pokemon Online. You played on Pokemon Online?
Of course, yeah. I was on Pokemon Online, pretty much the entire run. I think I maybe quit for like a year in between, but yeah, Pokemon Online was, I think that started late 2010. There was another simulator in between them, Pokelab, which I think Kathy made it. I'm not too sure. It was basically just Shoddy Battle on steroids, and basically when Pokemon Online came out, Pokelab was just immediately dumped. And that was kind of the end of like era on Smogon. Because Pokemon Online for a while was really an adjacent rising community, and Pokelab was like a big failure, I remember, in a lot of people's eyes, because it was a simulator which was again specifically made by Smogon for Smogon, and we just completely dumped it. And it was only active for maybe like a couple months, if that.
God damn. Did you ever play on what's it called, Poke Battle, the whole point system thing?
Yeah, Phil. I used to be friends with Philip, and we don't really talk that much anymore, but I played on it a lot when it was like first out. I even peaked number 1 on the ladder. But it was really fun, but it was kind of just, it didn't have the support, and I think people got tired of it really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, like, how did you feel? How did you like really feel about like the whole points thing over the whole like traditional Smogon, like the tiering system? Like, did you like it any different, or like you was like, this is literally just the same thing, but a different like way of building teams?
Honestly, it was a fun tournament. Not tournament, but it was a fun simulator and platform. But it was also just like, I think, kind of tacky. I feel like it was just too much for people.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was a novelty thing. It's the best I can say.
Okay. So I've seen like, I was like looking through the Hall of Fame a while back, and I saw like you're a pretty accomplished player. 4 World Cups. Okay. And I seen you made it some big tournaments like playoffs of like, what was it? The recent Classic and S Tour. So like.
Yeah, S Tour multiple times. I think 4 times.
4 times. Okay. So like, when did you start breaking into the tour scene and like getting recognition? I think you're cutting out. I can't hear it. Oh crap! I think you're cutting out again. All right, nice. You're back.
What'd you say?
Oh, no.
Earlier? Something about Smogon Tour.
Oh, okay. So I said, so you're a pretty accomplished player. Like, what you got into like Smogon Tour and like the classics. But like, when did you like break into the tour scene and start getting like recognition?
I peaked the ladder when I was, I think, in 6th grade on Pokemon Online, #1. And that was like my first real recognition when I was #1, when I was like 11 years old. But I got Kappa banned immediately after, and I think that stunted my development in the community by a pretty big margin. I've been playing tournaments since like 2010 Smogon, but I really only got my recognition in 2015 when I went 8-3 in SPL 6. And ever since then, 2015, 2017, I was probably a top player. And recently I came back and made Smogon Classic playoffs, but my motivation for Pokemon has been really low after I got basically locked out of every single Classic Cup, and I really didn't prepare that well for tricking. And I don't think I played badly in those series, but been pretty much, yeah, I think I could make a playoff again if I want to. It's just that I really don't feel like playing Pokemon that much, and I don't have like the motivation, the time, or the interest in the game anymore like I used to. And part of that is because a lot of like new gen stuff, the last gen I really played like throughout, that was a new gen, was Gen 6, and it's like 2 generations ago now.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I can completely understand where you're coming from. When you started like Gen 8, like it was fun at the beginning, but then it became very stale very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty nice that you broke into the classic scene super fast, even though like you obviously, like you said, you took a break for a while, but like it still stuck with you, so that's pretty cool. But like, do you think you plan to stick around for like, just to keep playing for fun, or just like you still have some accomplishments that you want to get, quote unquote accomplishments anyway? It's still a game you play just for fun.
Yeah, I like to play Pokemon for fun, for sure. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I actually like building a lot. The past like 3 years when I've been semi-retired, I actually built a lot of teams for a lot of tour players to use in SPL and playoffs and stuff. So there's definitely a fun aspect about it, and I like to play the game and use wacky shit, like, no doubt. But I mean, I still want to have a trophy, so I may or may not try again, on Smogon to win a trophy. I really don't know. I could not. It's really up in the air. Is like an individual like put on like such a high pedestal for you, or like you don't really care? You're like satisfied with what you kind of have right now? I want an individual. I would like to have a Smogon Tour trophy, or I would like to have a Smogon Classic trophy. Those are really the only 2 tournaments I'd really care about winning. But Smogon Tour, even, I feel like it's kind of too recent for me. Like, I don't really know Gen 7 and Gen 8 just well enough to actually qualify, is the thing. Oh, okay. So it's pretty much just like a generation, well, not really a generation gap, but like, it's like more of like, you're more comfortable in the older generation. That's why like you rather stick to like the best thing that like that's what you're good at. That's what you can get somewhere with like the players. I also think they're more fun. Like I just would rather play Gen 3, 4, 5, 6. Gen 2 through 6 I think are all really great generations. All generations that I kind of learned while I was in my prime, and also generations that I mean, Gen 8 is cool and all. Like I don't know enough about the metagame to actually talk about it comprehensively. The thing about Gen 8 is that I feel like, one, it's just, I think it's better than Gen 7. Just say that. No Megas is cool, and no Z-Moves is cool, and in a way, I feel like it reminds me of DPP in a way. Oh, yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. But I just don't have the time or the motivation to learn it, and it's a DLC metagame. I'm not playing in any tournaments, and it's just like,
are you still there?
even just like learning all these new Pokemon and all these.
You cut out after learning all these new Pokemon.
Doing that overcoming because I don't really want to play the games.
Oh yeah, I mean, from the way that I look at Gen 8, it's kind of like it's pretty much Gen. It's gonna be Gen 7 when all the DLC and everything is out of the way, but it's gonna be it without Megas and Z-moves. It's pretty much just SM 2.0, but like I think it would be more competitive. Of course, there's like RNG and stuff, so like that takes away from that portion of the game, but from that standpoint, that's how I would look at it.
Yeah.
So like, diving in deeper, do you have any like favorite tour games that you've played in that you could like name off, like top 3 to 5?
Cosine versus me, SPL, S-Tour, S-Tour, I forget which one it was. I think it was 20. The whole series is great, but I think I'll name the Oras game in particular. I think that was a good game. Semi-recently, I'll pick one, me versus Asta, game 2. I think that was a good game. I liked how I played versus him. I'm trying to think of other really notorious SPL games or World Cup games. There's the one where I use Z Stealth Rock, which is like apparently a famous play now.
Yeah.
I don't think that was really a good game. That was just like the move.
I actually, I watched the replay earlier and I was like, why did he keep the Smogon in the bag for so long? I was really just like wondering the whole time.
I don't know either. It doesn't really matter though. I remember the game well enough. And I don't know, there are a lot of good games. I feel like I have a lot of SPL games which could kind of qualify as that. Me versus ABR, SPL.
SPL which? You cut out again.
Where I use counter lead T-Tar and O-Code Metagross turn 1. That's a psychic types. That's a.
Oh shit! You just cut out very hard. You cut out very hard.
It's actually kind of. Yeah.
I think your internet is like on a lifeline right now. Technical difficulties, fam. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
Alright, it should be fine now. It just keeps every few minutes. It's gonna probably do that.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah.
Oh gosh.
My council position. I technically stepped down from my council position like 3 years ago, 2017. It does not feel like 2017 is like 3 years ago. I mean, I'm not in high school anymore, and the last time I can say I seriously played Pokemon competitively for a long time is when I was in high school, and I'm basically a senior in college now. It's been a long time, and in a way that's actually really kind of strange for me. It's actually, in a way, just bizarre. But, that's kind of the way of the game, I guess. I've been playing for so long, it's actually just insane.
Do you plan on, like, pretty much quitting anytime soon, or you just, like, plan to stay around and just, like, keep an eye on the metagame, I guess, is the best way? Like, if you see you could play in a tournament, you'll do it?
I think that once I get into law school, which might be in the next year, I think that's probably when I'm going to hang up a towel and like only going to hang out on Discord and just going to kind of drop any Pokemon related stuff. I've been playing Pokemon for literally ever.
Yeah, pretty much over a decade at this point.
It's just been it's been a ride is all I can say. I'm very, very big fan of this game. I'm not going to lie. But it's just, it's getting to a point where
You've what?
Metagames, to be honest, and it's kind of why, I don't really want to learn these new metagames.
It's pretty much just outgrowing the game.
Beyond that.
So you're pretty much just like at this point, it's kind of like outgrowing the game. You still love it, but you're not in the mood to like keep learning the new metagames over and over again.
I don't really want to do it anymore. I think at this point it's too much work for something that I don't really want to do. I've played this game for so long and I've definitely become burnt out on it. I don't know, it's just really, really hard, I would say, to stay motivated when you've become kind of detached from the community itself. And I think the community is a big driving factor for the reason why people stay and play this game for just so long. Because without the community, I mean, this game is like
it'd be boring.
It's a little bit average. It's a little bit average.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think a lot of people definitely do ask themselves, why do they stick around playing this game so much, even though it's supposed to be quote unquote competitive Pokemon, but like we definitely do know it's like when it's a luck relying game, but at the end of the day we definitely do stick around for friends most of the time. So I would assume that's one of the main reasons that you would stick around for it too.
Yeah, that's the only reason I really hang around. I feel like there were times where I would just basically be on Smogon the forums for like 6 months at a time. I would be, like on Discord like every day still, and even then, it's always been about the people. Like even back in the day, it was always about the people, not really about actual like game itself. I feel like the game draws you in, but you stay for the community.
Yeah, like have most of your friends like do most of your friends still play the game, or like have a lot of them like dropped off like the internet at this point?
Since I've been playing for 10 years, I mean, like, so many users that I used to know, that I was friends with, have just completely evaporated. Like, the early friends that I made on Poke Beach, nearly every single one of them I have not talked to in at least half a decade.
Gosh, that's just crazy. Do you pretty much just like miss it at that point? Like, do you ever just like question like why do you stick around at this point? It's like half of the people that you know, or like do you just stick around like you're like, yeah, this is a hobby for me, but I still can make new friends at this point?
I mean, I feel like with Pokemon, you kind of just keep making new friends, right?
Yeah.
Like the community it keeps growing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I do miss a lot of my old friends, but to tell you the truth, nowadays, I don't even know if I can really tell you all their usernames anymore, because these are things which, again, it's literally been maybe 8-9 years since I've actually seen or spoken to some of them. And the thing with online friendships is that some of these people that you become friends with really kind of just disappear, Like, talked about this in a previous video, but sometimes users that you're friends with because it's online, one day they'll just log off and they never log in again. And it's just like how did this happen? Type scenario, which is definitely weird. Yes. But it's kind of the name of the game, and that has happened to me so many times over the years. Starting with Poke Beach, then going on to like early Smogon friends, even friends that I've been, that are recent, the past like 3 years. Some of them have quit too. And there's so many people who I've been friends with and been really good friends with that have just disappeared. To Sung, for example, I used to be really good friends with him, and he's been gone for about like a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. I used to be like really good friends with him, and you just don't see him anymore. You don't see any of them anymore. It's kind of sad, but it's just the way it goes, Yeah,
I heard he disappeared after his tournament ban was even up. That's how I don't know the exact story behind it, but
the Sung, that goes for any basically player who just up and disappears. It happens very, very often, and there's nothing I can really say about it. It's the internet. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but like that actually is just the way it goes. Like whenever you play we all have those like old games that we used to play on with our friends, and then like you get their friend code, but like obviously they're not gonna stick around forever. When the internet dies, you're not gonna be able to contact them again.
Yeah, some people just disappear. It depends on the games you play, how long you play them, and there's nothing you can do to stop it either.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go back to that topic earlier when you were talking about when you peaked the ladder and you was like you got copper banned. So like, how does that all work? I know like you have to be like what 15 years old to be. This was on PO. This was on PO though, right?
It was on P.
You cut out just now. It was on what?
I think it's 13. It's 13.
Oh, it's 13.
And it's 13.
Oh, damn, you're cutting out hard. You said this was on,
I was banned for a full year, and during that year, I basically stopped playing Pokemon after, like, the summer ended, and I started playing Call of Duty instead, and I hate Call of Duty. Well, I don't hate the game, but I hate it. It's one of those relationships.
Nah, I get what you mean.
And I kind of dropped Pokemon for a while. Like, I think there was maybe a good 3 months where I just wasn't really online. And then I came back after my ban got lifted. And then the rest is history. That was, I think, 2012.
Don't the copper bands,
Versus-
they only work if you like you try to sign up for a tournament or like you just trying to sign up in general?
They work. You just can't be on the forums at all.
Oh,
you
okay.
can't be on the forums at all if you're.
Yeah, you say that like it pretty much stunted your growth, so I understand what you mean because you took the time off. So like, but like when you came back, were there any like influential players that like you just watched them and you were like, I want to play like that guy, or like you just stuck with your own style?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has always had players like that. You know, when I was coming back, you know, I still had all my friends on US East. There was players at the time like BKC, Rog, Lamppost, a Dragon user, those guys who I was looking up to. And, you know, I mean, those were kind of the guys that were really big at that time, in 2012, you know, 11, 13.
Yeah, pretty much during the DPP area and the Gen 5.
Yeah, those were like in the beginning and end of Gen 5. Those were kind of the big guys. Anything after Gen 5, I kind of consider like recent history. Like 2014 and onward is when I kind of consider Smogon to have become more modern, if you know what I mean.
I think I understand I think I kind of understand where you're coming at from that point.
Yeah.
The whole East thing, like I remember I interviewed Stone Cold a while back and he was talking about it. I remember he brought up your name, like I can't remember exactly how the story goes, but he's like, you pulled up on East a while back, but like can you tell us a story about like how you got onto East?
I wanted to play for Metro, which was at the time captained by Jabba the Griffin, and Jabba knew I was not 13. He knew that I would probably get banned soon. So Jabba was like, he didn't really want to take me. So I went to East instead, and I was like, hey, can I play here? Stone drafted me. He gave me a chance, and I was a substitute the World Cup I played. I think the first World Cup I played was World Cup 2011. And I got banned like middle of the tournament. Because Kevin Garrett told the Smogon mod team or whatever that I was under 13, and they had to ban me.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. But I don't really care. It was like 10 years ago. But it was, you know, it got me banned, and I have to wonder, you know, what would have happened if I was just on Smogon that whole time. You know, like I basically disappeared for the better half of a year, maybe more than a year, like maybe like 8-9 months around there. Time frame where I just wasn't around. I don't know though. I mean, it comes to those types of things. It's really fuzzy because it's kind of like I was a kid when it happened, and it really is kind of just ancient history now. You know, it is strange as it seems, given how I'm only like 21. But I've been playing this game for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of just comes with it that you're going to eventually,
like,
for this long, you know, like I just forget parts of the history now.
Was it easier to like get on like the whole like Smogon tournament scene back then, or like is it like comparably easier now? Because I wasn't around back then, so I wouldn't really know.
You mean like, is it easier now to get on teams?
Yeah, is it like easier to get recognition now compared to back then, or is it like pretty much the same, if not harder?
No, I think it's probably a little bit harder now. Simply because to be considered a really good player takes a lot in the eyes of the community at our age. Back then, you know, the community was smaller. You know, nowadays it's so huge, and there's so many groups you have to cut through, and so many people you have to prove yourself to. It's just harder nowadays, and that's, you know, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's probably a good thing. It's just that, you know, it's a different type of community than it was back then. Smogon in the old days, you know, some people say SPL 7 is like the real start of modern Smogon. Pre SPL 7, it's kind of like the Smogon Wild West days when things were kind of just let go and things could basically just be whatever they were. I kind of agree with that, because if you look at some of the old TD decisions, it was actually kind of ridiculous how things were, but I don't know.
When you finally came back, so you said you got banned in like 2012, 2013?
You know,
when you finally came back in, like, well, I'm gonna assume 2014 is because you, like you said, took a year off. Did you, like, get right back into tournaments right away? Like, did you, like, have that clout already built up, or you had to, like, pull up in another tournament just to, like, prove yourself again?
Around 2013.
Oh, so you were around pretty much during, like, that whole IDM stage and stuff then?
Then I came back into...
You came back into what? You're cutting out.
Like...
Oh yeah, you cut out again. All right, so what you cut out when you said you came back into? Yeah, you're cutting out again.
Okay, and I think I remember what I was saying. It was PL5 is when I really was starting to get back into tournaments.
Okay.
So that was,
That's a long time. So, like, how did you get into it? Did you just, like, did you know some people, or, like, did you, like, have to prove yourself through some sort of whatever way they did it? Like, you tried out for the team?
I don't know if I tried out, but I played like Black and White OU versus Aqua Lewis, SMOU, or no, XYOU versus Blue and versus Badoosh, and then Little Cup versus Al Alchemist, and I lost like 3 games in a row. But in all honesty, like, fucking tough opponents, Yeah,
I mean, they're definitely hard.
Blue, Al Alchemist, and Aqua Louie, like. It was just rough, and then I won later in GSC, but that was like I made Smogon Tour playoffs immediately after that, and that was like kind of the beginning of my real tournament legacy.
Oh, so that's when you pretty much started to blow up. Like, do you have any regrets about, like, do you think there's anything you really could have done different? Like, do you like look back and you're like, okay, this is the reason why I lost, or like did you just pretty much just lose to like luck at that point in like the classics?
I could have definitely, looking back, played a lot of games a lot better.
Like, can you like give off some examples of like what you specifically think you could have, like, this is the reason why I lost this game, like when I could have won this game? Like, can you give some examples if you could think of any anyway?
Yeah, I have a couple. First of all, I can go back to like SPL6. The team I brought versus CTC was fucking terrible.
Oh, I remember. I seen that game.
I should not have brought that team. Even my teammates told me that team was terrible. It was bad. it was not good. It was not a good team at all.
That was when you played the Manaphy, right? That was the one with the Manaphy, right?
Yes, that is a notorious game where I was facing the Manaphy. I should not have brought that team, and it's my fault, for bringing such a terrible fucking team. I really never should have bothered doing that, but whatever. Other games, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say PLA versus Goao. I made a terrible play. I should have just spammed EQ. Although I also got luck that game, so that was pretty unfortunate. But it was versus Baton Pass, so whatever.
Oh.
Other games, like, I'm trying to think, because now it's blur, really. Lots of S-Tour games I could have played better. My biggest problem historically has always just been choking.
Oh.
And that's something which I need to fix myself, but there are a lot of tournaments, a lot of games, a lot of things where I feel like I should have and could have won. But I ended up not winning because of my own inability, basically.
Did you pretty much okay, so my boy High Impulse, he was telling me, because he recently got back into the tournament scene. He lost one of his games. And he's like, I don't know what happened. I just have like those nerves, probably because I haven't played in a while. Like, have you ever like felt something like that?
Nerves? Oh yeah, I used to have pretty terrible tournament nerves back in the day. It's just something you kind of never get over. I feel like there's some people that are able to compartmentalize it, but like, I can ignore it, but when the game starts really getting down, I won't lie, I definitely get nervous, especially if it's like a big game. Otherwise, I kind of remain unfazed, but at the same time, nerves are a big block to many players. Like, there's some players who just can't get over their nerves, and that really inhibits them for basically the rest of their tournament career. Nerves are just a problem. There are some players who really just never get over their nerves, and I may be one of them. I don't know. It's really, really, really hard to kind of.
How do you feel about, like, so you know, there's times where like you're just commentating a game and like you could just say like it's so easy to make this one play, but like obviously when you put into that position it's harder. Like what do you think makes it really like harder at that point when you're overthinking like this one play when you know what's the right play, but you're like, I don't know, maybe he might just do something like you would probably never think about in a regular ladder game, if that makes sense.
Something I would not think about in a regular ladder game.
Yeah, it's kind of like I should like clarify the question if it didn't make too much sense. Like when you're playing like comparatively when you're playing a ladder game, obviously you're probably not going to be nervous. But like when you're playing like a tournament game, you're definitely going to be nervous. It'll probably like cloud your decision making. You're going to overthink overthink a situation.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the difference between people who are considered ladder heroes and people who are considered tournament players. Ladder heroes are really, I mean, not only is laddering just literally at the top echelon, just constantly people just counter-teaming the fuck out of people. That's kind of the actual, like, reality behind a lot of ladder hero type shit. Because players at the top level just, like, look at replays and counter-team. And there's just less at stake, you know? When there's less at stake, there's just not the proclivity to have these, you know, like, nerves and all this type of stuff.
It's pretty much just easier to pull the trigger at that point.
Yeah, it's easier because there's not much punishment. You just ladder back up. No one cares.
Yeah.
Tournaments, there's a whole other thing. There's a whole other thing to it. It's just not the same when you have, like, you know, the ladder element. And especially considering the ladder is really rather uncompetitive nowadays, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty much just hyper offense at this point. It's literally just hyper offense. Everybody just loading up the Magirnas, clicking that double dance, and then they try to win the game right there. But do you think, what's it called? Do you think laddering is like useless at this point, or do you think, because like there's a lot of people, they say laddering is useless. There's no point in laddering. How do you feel about that? I don't think that standpoint is like the best, but how do you feel about it?
I think that I mean, in general, I mean, laddering is just, it gives you practice, is what I'll say. Laddering is where most players start, especially where most players who are called, you know, like GOATs start. The ladder used to be historically very competitive on Pokemon Online and Shiny.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, the thing is laddering, it gives you, especially in old gens, there's actually a pretty thriving ladder community in certain old gens. I think it's a good start, and I think it's a good place to practice for certain tournaments. I just wouldn't rely on it as your main experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because eventually, it's a different environment. You're gonna feel a different way. You're gonna have to think about it a specific way. Because in like a ladder game, you could just click. Because like, you know, you got those clickers, like their timers probably like never show up, and like you notice this in a tournament game, like people think about something, even though you know the play, you just have to think ahead at that point.
Sure. But the thing is that in the ladders, there's just the competition is very erratic. Is I think the best word for it. You're not going to be playing players that are thinking all the time. You might just be playing players who are trying to counter team or trying to meme or trying to do this and that.
You're pretty much not always going to run into like a serious opponent.
Yeah.
Like after playing this game for like pretty much a decade at this point, like a lot of people say it's not a competitive game. Of course it's not like 100% competitive, but like how do you really feel about that? Do you think like luck is like everything? Like a noob could just come into this game and you're like, oh my god, you know, this game like doesn't always reward the better player. How do you like personally feel about that? Do you think you should just give up at that point?
I think that Pokemon is certainly not chess. I mean, it's not. It's, you know, it's
it's like checkers.
A lot of dimensions. There are a lot of dimensions about Pokemon which are just, you know, competitive. You know, accuracy, paralysis.
Yeah, hacks, RNG.
We all know them. We all know them. Crits especially. But at the same time, I feel like if Pokemon had no critical hits and certain no elements of hacks, I mean, if Pokemon did not have critical hits, I unironically think that Pokemon like Crocoon and setup sweepers like Curslax, especially in older gens, would just be so fucking broken.
Yeah, they just be spamming the ladder.
I mean, like Crocoon.
What was that about Crocoon? You're cutting out. You cut out just now.
Pokemon like Crocoon or Combine Reuniclus or Snorlax or without it, you know, like without critical hits and all these types of things, I kind of feel like that playstyle would just be undeniably broken.
It's pretty much it has no drawback at that point. So
yeah, I mean, like, some Pokemon, like Calmine Clefable, imagine X and Y or Oras with just basically no crits. Unhindered Calmine Clefable shit.
Yeah, that'd be like a hell.
I'd be,
That's
would not
auto
be
loss
good.
at that point.
Would not be good. Would not be good is what I can say. It's just,
But like,
there are a lot of complaints I have with Pokemon. In a way, I feel like because of the nature of the game and its variability, certain elements of luck are necessary. This isn't chess. It's certainly not that skillful of a game, because really anybody can beat anybody if you just get a little bit lucky. And that's something which is unique to this game. And there are clearly people who are better than others, but there's just so many dimensions to it. There's so much variability.
do you agree with the fact that, so when I talk with a few players, they say they're like, obviously you can't control luck, but you would definitely play around it to try to avoid it and like put yourself in a position where you won't blame luck for your loss all the time. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best position to have, where you need to acknowledge that sometimes you just played bad. I think that's like the number one, marker of becoming a mature player.
That's true. That's definitely true. I think at that point, that's pretty much when you're gonna have like a lot more fun. Because at the end of the day, you definitely have to have fun with the game that you're playing. You don't want to just like feel like tossing your laptop off the freaking top of a building every time you play Pokemon because you got hacked when you miss Focus Blast.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna ask you? Crap. What was it gonna be about? Oh, all right. I think I remember. So I was gonna ask you about when you're playing in like those big tournaments like World Cup and stuff. So like a lot of people tend to believe like, those are like the tournaments where like, anybody can get carried at it. I mean, I wasn't around during those times, but like, how did you feel about those types of tournaments, like the team tournament versus like individuals? Do you feel like the pedestal that one is put on versus another, like there's like much of a difference? Or like, do you feel like, a trophy's a trophy at the end of the day as long as you contributed?
There's a pretty big difference. I'm not gonna lie, between trophy holders and other types of contributors, No,
I definitely understand that. Is it like, I know from the way that I look at it, it's kind of like when you're playing a tournament game, when you're playing like a team tournament game, it's like you have to rely on your teammates at that point. Nothing is really up to you. But when you're playing a singles tournament, everything is pretty much in your hands. You like control all the triggers at that point in time. Is that like the number one like big difference? You're like, I worked for this by myself versus like having like teammates to help me with, and like the blame doesn't all just fall on top of me.
I can hear you. I think the big thing is, between those tournaments is that, first of all, team tournaments, you have more reliance, on other people, right?
Yeah.
Individuals, I mean, really, unless you're getting ghosted, it's all you. Being a tournament is, different than a contributor. And I think in a lot of ways, I've done my fair share of opinion pieces on the Smogon tournament community. It's just different. And, honestly, at this point, I would rather be a tournament player than a contributor, because really there are just barely any incentives for me to really contribute much to Smogon anymore. But I much rather am known and prefer to be known as a tournament player. This is this one question I wanted to ask. So, looking at certain tournaments like Smogon Snake Draft and like World Cup, I had a conversation a while ago. It's like some of these tournaments, they're kind of weird. They're like, specifically World Cup, where it's like you're confined to your region. How do you really feel about tournaments like that? Do you think something like that should really like be a specific rule, or like you pretty much pick where you want to like represent, I guess? I mean, I understand the whole concept of it, like you're supposed to be stuck in your region, that's why it's called World Cup, but how do you like feel about the way that this tournament is actually presented? Like, you're just like, if you're in a region where the players are not like generically good, like at that point you're pretty much never gonna win. I think World Cup it's an unfair tournament, right? I mean, shout out
East.
That's kind of the nature of it. Certain regions of the world will have better Pokemon players, and so far it's really been US East for the past however many years. I mean, seriously. And, you know, there are just a couple of regions, US East, US West, France, and I think that's kind of it. I mean, I guess Spain, but Spain, I don't really know anymore. There are only a few regions, and of course it's a very biased tournament. Like,
yeah.
Of course it is, the way it is, but I don't think it means we should get rid of it. I think it's a fun tournament. You team with the same people every year, unlike SPL or Snake, and that's kind of makes it, you know, a community thing.
Do you think it's kind of you know, I want to say actually, no, I definitely would say unfair. Do you think it's kind of unfair, like, you know how the US has pretty much 4 teams at this point? We have like what is it? US East, US West, Central.
East, Central, and Midwest. Or actually, I think Central is gone now. I think it's just 3. The Midwest, East, and West. I'm not even sure anymore.
I think it is 4. I think it's and South. I think it is 4 because I looked at the World Cup thing.
Yeah, U.S. South is also a thing. Yeah, I think it's those 4. Central, I think, got replaced by Midwest. I really have not been keeping up with these types of things, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, but like, do you think it should?
I don't really need to anymore.
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, do you think it should just like be all like one team, or like it's fine the way it is? I think it's kind of weird because it's pretty much just putting us at, like, I wouldn't say an advantage, because, you know, like, not everybody's gonna get the trophy even if one person in the US wins, but
you would never lose. There would not be a single weak slot ever.
It's like,
I would advise that should not happen ever, and it would also exclude a lot of players from playing. So
that actually makes sense. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Now that I think about it, I never thought about it from that standpoint. How many people that play on Smogon are actually in the US? So actually,
yeah, not a good idea.
Yeah, it definitely does make sense now that I think about it. I don't know why it didn't pop into my head. Like, everybody, we have like too many turbo gods in the US East. If you put all that shit together with the rest of this country, like, it probably wouldn't be a good look for the rest of Smogon, for the rest of the website anyway. But are there any like notable favorites when it comes to teammates that you've, like, you know, you've played with over the years on like World Cup or like any other tournament, like SPL, that you really like really helped your like growth as a player?
Lots of people. I think TDK, BKC, Finchinator, literally like nearly every teammate I've had, you know, I mean, has been a part of that group. Amongst others too.
You're cutting out.
It's hard to really. I'll just say that nearly every player that I've teamed with on US East has. People like ABR, Fuga, you know, I think they definitely inspired me to do better. TDK, BKC, Finchinator, my friends that I'm close with on, you know, Smogon.
Do you have any advice for pretty much? What? You cut out just now.
Nothing. What'd you say?
Oh, I was about to ask, do you like have any new advice for like any players that are like trying to break into the tournament scene, or like they're just trying to like get better as a whole? I don't know if you're. I think you're cutting. I don't know if you're cutting out or.
Yeah, no, I'm cutting out again.
Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
Oh, okay. So I asked, do you have any advice for any new players that are like they're trying to break into the tournament scene, or they're just trying to get better in general?
My best advice is go and practice. Practice a lot. I mean, you need to. One, I would advise you don't go with any annoying clicks. The truth, don't be one of those people who, you know, in an effort to get noticed, just is annoying.
Just what?
Something
just,
like that.
Oh, just annoy. You said annoy or something?
There are certain players who, in an effort to get noticed early on, just end up joining up with very annoying clicks. And
you cut out just now.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to give players a real constructive advice. I would say, listen, don't be annoying. Don't join any stupid cliques that are like fringe and may get you banned. Hint, hint. There's an element of how you get better at Pokemon, and part of it is just playing more. Play pretty much every tournament you can, in my opinion. just constantly think about the game and watch replays and watch, videos by notable tour players like Finch or me or BKC or whoever else has a YouTube channel, and try and learn how to play competitively. And really the best advice I can give you is to think in your playing. Don't just click, because when you think, you actually really are giving yourself an advantage. Unbelievable, I know, but when you think about what you're playing and how you're playing the game, you're going to make progress. It's just the matter of it, the nature of it.
A lot of players, specifically the new players, I think a lot of us get tired of seeing the same players over and over again. I mean, I understand why. It's obviously the best players are going to be in the biggest tournaments, but do you ever just agree with any of those players are I think there's OLT, but do you think there's another tournament that should be made to cater to newer players to help break into the scene?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't know if there's one size fits all for that matter. To help new players break into the scene, I'm not really quite sure. I mean, I can never say is just be good. You're not going to break into the scene unless you're a good person.
That is true. Can't expect for it to happen overnight. I think a lot of us just get frustrated. Not really frustrated, but it's kind of sometimes you see the same people over and over again in every single tournament. It's kind of it's like the community is purposely making it so nobody else can ever shine. I don't want to say it like that, but I think that's the best way I can really say it.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably it's probably the main point.
I mean, obviously people are going to get better over time because eventually these players are going to quit and then the newer players are going to take over, but I think right now it's not like sports, but it kind of is you cater to the newer players because eventually they will take over, and then it's going to happen again because we're not going to stick around forever at this point. Do you have what's it called? Because I know my boy Ophion, shout outs to him because he put me on to you to get me this interview. But he tells me what's it called, obviously you're in college and stuff. That's the main reason you're not playing Pokemon anymore as much. What are your what are your plans to after you pretty much quit Pokemon, you graduate college? Is that when you're gonna quit for good after you graduate college, or what?
Yeah, I think that'll be time where I will just not play anymore, and maybe I'll keep in touch with people that I've become friends with, but I can't imagine myself playing this game to such a high degree after I graduate from college. I just don't have the time or the cares. It's just the way it is, really. I mean,
unless you're making money off of it, then I don't think a lot of people are really gonna stick around. There are definitely people that they just have fun with what they're doing when they're playing this game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the takeaway.
Do you think what's it called? You're just pretty much done? Afterwards, you don't plan on touching the game or any games in general, or it's just.
I have never been a gamer at all.
Just Pokemon.
I've never really played many video games, and I mean even outside of that, not playing video games, not really caring about video games. Yeah, I think I would probably just kind of quit and not bother touching many video games anymore because there's really just no interest in me. I don't really have a point. I don't really care. Once I quit, I'll have quit.
Well, right now that you're stuck inside, you're obviously pretty much forced at this point to play.
Yeah, I mean, I still like playing. It's just that I feel like I don't really care as much as I used to, and that type of stuff is,
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way the game's gonna go at that point anyway. So do you have anything else you want to say at this point? Anything else you want players to?
I don't really have much else to say. I mean, I feel like I've been playing for a long time, and I mean, I've seen it pretty much all. At this point, I've been various jerks. I've been popular on this site. I've been unpopular on this site, and now I'm kind of in the twilight of my career, I guess you could say, when it comes to these types of things. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of it. Nowadays, I'm online all the time, but I don't really want to be online all the time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely do. Oh, by the way, shout outs to this guy, because I think right now is the best time to plug yourself. I hear you write people papers. Is that true?
I do indeed write people papers, but don't contact me for that.
Man, if I knew about this when I started college, it would have been over. But unfortunately, I didn't get the memo. But I think we can end it right here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out TDK. If he wants you to check him out anyway. On like, where can they reach you for like social media on Smogon? TDK PDC. Hit him up if you want him to write you a paper. Not really, but
yeah.
hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below. All that.